I want nothing, and that's why I'm going to get it. This is something that was difficult for me to put into words, so I decided to just improvise it and do a stream of thought type of video. But lately I've switched off setting goals, or I tried to. Whether it's fully possible to not aim for anything is debatable, but I know that the practice itself, that trying to be less ambitious, I guess, though I doubt many would agree that I'm currently not ambitious, at least it's not how it looks on the outside. But recently when someone is asking me what are my goals, what are my dreams, or what I'm aiming for example, just 2 days ago I visited my parents and my mom asked me, like, what's my idea for my life? And I wasn't sure how to answer her because there really isn't one. And not in a bad way where I'm not sure what I want to do with my life and that I'm worrying over it, but in a way that I don't really see much point in wondering about it. Life is currently good. I know that I'm growing and developing in the right directions, but I don't see a point in setting any kind of goal or attaching myself to the idea of some kind of dream life. I think if I did that, I would lose out on the life that I'm currently living. And I used to be a kind of person that would obsess over reaching my dream lifestyle. But I overestimated the positives that I saw in such approach. And on the other hand, it turned out that many of the things I believed about being less ambitious or about what would happen if I wasn't setting so many goals for myself turned out not to be true at all. There is this idea that being really ambitious is a good quality, but that really depends on what you consider being ambitious. What I really want to compare in this video is one approach where you try to be as ambitious as possible, you set a lot of goals for yourself and you work hard to reach them. And on the other hand, you have the approach that I switched to, which is trying to want as little as possible and see how that turns out. And the first misconception I noticed is that people think that wanting nothing means stagnation. But I would actually argue it lets you do quite the opposite. If you set very harsh goals for yourself, or if you really attach to having something, to achieving something, when you really, really want something, then there is a strong pressure to reach that point. But that's not necessarily a good thing because people can easily break under pressure. And as a result, it becomes much more difficult to do anything towards that goal, because whenever something doesn't go your way or something isn't perfect, then there is this fear of not achieving this goal. And as a result, people work less instead of more, or give up, or simply burn out at some point. But imagine what would happen if you didn't really care that much about reaching goals. What if you wanted nothing? Well, first of all, you would be much more satisfied with your current life. You could enjoy it, you would appreciate how good you actually have it. And if you truly didn't want things, then it would become much easier to do things that are good for you. Because whenever you have 2 ways to choose your time, what's the real difference between cleaning your apartment, working on your side project, playing games, or sitting on a couch and watching a movie? All of those things are just a way to spend your time. It's just your internal interpretation of doing one over the other is completely different. The only real reason why one is very, very difficult and unpleasurable and the other is very pleasurable and you want to do it is exactly that, this feeling of wanting things. It's your internal interpretation about whatever you're currently doing or the situation around you. So when you learn to let go of wanting things, then there isn't as much difference between playing games and working on your YouTube channel. Of course, this is an example of what I'm currently experiencing myself, just because it's the easiest to explain this way. I'm constantly trying to avoid thinking about my dream outcome or thinking 10 steps ahead. Because whenever I get too deep into those dreams of publishing an amazing book and reaching 100,000 subscribers and things like that, then first of all, I make myself less happy, since that would mean that there are things lacking in my life, so I can't be fully content and satisfied. Second of all, it adds a lot of pressure towards making these videos, because it means that each video is a step towards that goal. Every page of a book written must be perfect for the book to sell well. And this doesn't even support the creative process. It makes the process less pleasurable, and as a result, I want to do it less. And then I get into this web of wanting things, of what I want in the future, of what I want right now. Making this YouTube channel is difficult, so maybe I would rather play video games. Sometimes I still fall into this trap of dreaming too much about what I want from life, but every day I'm trying to practice through meditation, through noticing cool things around me, I'm even stopping in the park and noticing the beautiful scenery. All of this serves to help me practice to appreciate being in the present moment more and to be content and satisfied with the life around me. And every time that I remind myself to let go and to not attach myself to the things I want, and instead try to appreciate what's currently happening around me, then my mood immediately becomes better. Pretty much all of my worries and anxieties immediately disappear. And when you eventually reach that point where there isn't such a huge difference between cleaning your apartment, working on your side hustle, or for example, on your book, versus watching an interesting movie or playing video games, then you can simply choose things that are good for you or that are good for others and the world, or things that simply seem interesting. Thinking about things that are interesting instead of the things I want is also a small change that helped me to switch my mindset towards this not wanting things. Because when you switch from goals and the things you want from life to curiosity and not wanting anything out of life, then a large portion of the friction in activities disappears. For example, I try to think that doing a YouTube channel would be pretty interesting and probably good for me, and hopefully the content would be good for the viewers. Writing a book would also be pretty cool and interesting, but is it really difficult? Well, kind of, but at the same time, writing a book or producing YouTube videos is just sitting down with my laptop and doing that. It really becomes pretty simple when you think about it like that. When I'm not strongly attached towards making this an incredible success and achieving everything from my dream lifestyle, then it's much easier to stay patient. And also as a result of all of this, it's paradoxically much easier to even reach this goal when it isn't there. So that's why I intend to stick to wanting nothing and practicing it every day. And if you think that this could also work for you, then I would encourage you to try it. If you want more thoughts from me or to know what books I'm currently reading, you can join my newsletter on my Substack. And that's it for this video. See you next time.